Oh, we're still talking about issues with regards to the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Now, every year, the Nigerian Stock Exchange puts together a kind of walk run to try and encourage, or as part of their corporate social responsibility. And so this year, the Nigerian Stock Exchange is also going to be hosting or holding another walk run for cancer. Let's talk to Bola Adeko, who is a director of corporate services at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Good morning to you, and thank you for coming on the program.
Good morning, Harriet, and thanks for having me.
So it's that time of the year again where the Nigerian Stock Exchange is trying to fulfill its corporate social responsibility. It's been almost 365 days since the last run. How much has been achieved in that time?
Thanks for that opening question, Harriet. But I think it's important before I address the question of what progress we've recorded so far, to give some context for those that are not familiar with the reasons why we conduct this race. About 3 years ago, we joined up with a group called Community Encouraging Corporate Philanthropy, which is a body of 6 organizations that came together to try and look for ways to improve corporate social responsibility in the corporate world. For us, we identified a cause that we wanted to stand behind in terms of trying to find a solution for, and it's the one with this thing called cancer, which unfortunately globally still records the highest number of deaths. I think in 2014, the numbers recorded was about 8.2 million people that died. And when you look at other forms of illnesses, so HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, as well as malaria, just as 3 examples, the numbers of people that die from those ailments are about 2.8. So that gives some context as to how big a problem it is. Let me bring it back home. So in Nigeria, it's about 80,000 people on average die from cancer, all different forms of cancer, of course. In every hour is recorded about 10 people that die. 4 out of every 5 persons that are diagnosed with cancer, unfortunately, passes on in Nigeria. I'm giving these numbers to show how important this issue is. And so for us, we also identify that one of the ways that we could try to make a difference is to work with other groups to identify ways to support early detection. Because with early detection, it does give the person a fighting chance. 1/3 of the cancers actually recorded are preventable, and another 1/3 are actually curable. So it gives you some hope that things could be better. Coming back to the question you asked me about what's been recorded so far. So when we started off, the short-term objective was to try and raise money, as well as awareness, to buy mobile cancer centers. And I kind of call them clinics on wheel, because the idea was to be able to get those units at the grassroots level to the local areas to make sure that people can actually get screened properly, and in some ways even administer some early treatment. Those things don't come cheap. It's about 120 million naira each. And so this race was to try and start raising money towards that. So last year, coming out of the race itself, we raised about 36 million naira, which certainly is not anywhere near 120.
So, it's a very laudable, initiative by the Nigerian Stock Exchange, but how much buy-in have you got from most of the companies or clients who are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, or even those who participated at the last challenge, who might also participate at this year's challenge?
It's been very encouraging, very good. So part of the stats that I wanted to also share with you in terms of progress that's been made is, so when you look at the first year that we had this race, which was back in 2014, we had probably about 300 runners. Last year was about 535 runners that came from about 56 organizations. And as I just mentioned, that we raised about 37 million. But the more important news that I wanted to also share is that coming out of the other supporting events that between us and CCP have also conducted since the last race, we actually have 2 firm commitments to buy 2 mobile screening centers this year. Which it's again, looking at the cost of those things and given the tough economic conditions, can be taken lightly. So there's been progress, but certainly there's still a long way to go, because the goal is to actually buy one of those mobile cancer centers for every state of the country, including Abuja.
So looking at you already mentioned the tough economic state that we're in right now. What makes you so sure that this year, you said when it first started, you had about 300 runners. Last year, over 500 runners turned up for this event, including corporate clients, those who are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and those who are not. And then this year, with the way things are, do you think you're going to get as much support and maybe commitment with regards getting this mobile cancer centers everywhere, including Abuja?
Yes, we do, and I think the reason why I still feel optimistic is just based on what the early responses that we've gotten so far, because the race itself is actually coming up shortly. It's on May 14th. Part of why I'm here today is also to make additional plug for it, to create the awareness around that event. So I think we've certainly seen a bit of a reduction in terms of commitment that people have put forward, but nonetheless, I think we'll do very well. We expect to get probably at least 700 runners this year, and that's part of the reason why we also changed the venue of the event this year. Last year we used the Nikon Stadium, but this year we're planning to use Muri Okunla in VI as the starting and the end point.
Okay, and that's like almost in the heart of VI, because if you know VI very well, for those who don't, it's, well, Muri Okunla is actually very central. You have a lot of roads around, in and out. So how many hours is the run going to be for, and what are you doing with regards ensuring the safety of not just the runners, but also just trying to make sure that people are not inconvenienced, those who have to come into the island at that time or go out?
Yeah, so I probably would be a very popular guy now that I've given out the heads up that would be causing a bit of a traffic disruption that morning, but we're very sensitive to that. So we're going to be working with the Lagos State LASMA and the police authorities as well to ensure that from a safety perspective that, you know, the people are not injured or put in harm's way, and also to manage traffic properly. I think we're looking at about maybe 3 hours in terms of start to finish, because the race itself is only 5 kilometers long, and we plotted the route to allow for, I mean, easy movement of people as well as traffic during that period.
So, who qualifies to attend this particular? I remember last year I was particularly miffed when you insisted it had to be like a corporate challenge. So is that what's going to be again this year? It's a corporate challenge.
Okay, since you called me out, I'm going to do the same thing. You still didn't show up last year with my invitation. We've expanded it. So primarily when we started out, we were looking at teams to be raised from listed companies as well as dealing firms at the exchange. Over time, for this year especially, I'll give you, we're going to allow the corporates to participate, as well as a running team. So there's some running teams in Lagos that have also expressed an interest, and friends of the house, because I think the idea is that we want to be inclusive, because this issue is actually a very common problem that affects everyone. And I always say that every room that I go to, I always ask that very simple question. There's practically no one that doesn't know anyone either directly or indirectly that's been affected by cancer in some form or shape. So I think we definitely want to get more people on board. Okay, so you have to register, of course. Where do we get to register? Yes, all the information that you need you can find on our website, nsc.com.ng. It's clearly laid out there in terms of the program itself and the registration steps. Thank you so much, Bola, for coming on the program this morning and sharing that with us, and of course getting everybody set for May 14. NSE will be raising funds to erase cancer. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Harriet. Well, Business Morning continues in just a moment. We've got latest developments from the Nigeria energy market. Bolaji Akinwale joins me after now. Stay with us.